Hello, hello, everybody. Here we are again, coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha, and it doesn't happen very often. I don't know if it's ever happened that we've been, once we've been this 10-minute late before, but it's for a good thing because we have a phenomenal guest with us, and I I'm going to enjoy this because this is going to be a little bit of a teaching session for me. So I'm going to take notes because in the latter part of the show, we are going to discuss some things that is going to be very interesting and it just might save your life one day. Who knows? Or maybe not, but it could. Anyway, we are coming to you from 44 different platforms, and my name is Agi, and my co-host Nori, she cannot be here today, but she will be back next week. And she sends her love to everybody out there, even those of you that haven't made it here yet. Yeah. So I also want to let you know how you can get in touch with myself or Nori. Go to broadcastteamalpha.com and there is a contact feature there. Send us an email and we will get the email and we'll get back to you and see what we can do for you. And I, well, I am not going to get too long-winded on the show here because we need to hear from Dr. Sharnael Wolverton. And you can find her on swiftfire.org. For those of you that like to surf the website while you're listening, that's the place to go, swiftfire.org. And and she
It's,
is
a, it's actually
a
drsharnael.com.
it
Sorry
is
about
com.
drsharnael.com. We actually don't have Swiftfire anymore. It's all been changed up.
Oh
Yes. I
God,
just want to, sorry to
I
interrupt
missed.
you. I just don't want to send people to the wrong place and then be
Uh,
disappointed.
yeah. So say that again, then.
Yes, sir. Sorry. It's a new change, maybe just a few months now. We are drsharnael.com.
Okay, drsharnail.com. So yeah, I guess I was operating from old information here. But
Yes.
anyway, and she is an author and she's traveling on the speaking circuit. She's talking at conferences and everywhere, and she's written, what is it now, 6 books?
5 books. Yes,
Five
5 books.
books. Okay.
And then the card
Eh,
deck too. Yep.
yeah, and including one of them, which is called The Science of Miracles.
Yes, sir.
Now, anybody out there, do you believe in miracles? Let us know in the chat room if you are on YouTube. That's the only place we can watch the chat room. So she does also do online classes, and you can find her on True TV and the social media everywhere. And welcome to the show, Sharnel.
Welcome. Thank you for having me back. I always love hanging out with you.
Yeah, gosh, we got a little late coming here, but this is going to be good. So for those of you that are still with us, hang in there because we're going to talk about some really interesting things. There is new hope in the healthcare arena right now, with
Yes.
especially with Mr. Kennedy being able to join. And I saw one tweet on X where he said that the head of the AMA, pack your bags, you'll be leaving.
Yes. He's
So,
saying a lot of really interesting things about introducing a lot of things that have been hidden and suppressed. And I don't know if I can name all the things, but yeah, he's made a few tweets telling
oh
people, look
yeah,
out, here we go. It's very
yes,
encouraging.
I for right now, I think there couldn't be a better man in that position than him because he is really going after it. So we'll just wait and see what happens. And but there is new hope, and I think we all should send good vibrations to Washington. Send them
Yes.
love because when you send them love, they don't know what to do with it. It messes with their head. So maybe they'll do the right thing. Who knows? But
Yes, definitely,
I would
especially with
like,
his history of his family, sending him love, sending everyone in these positions love, with everything that's happened over the last, with July, the situation
yeah,
and scary, scary stuff.
yeah. I would like to maybe you open up a little bit about what your impression is of what the future of medicine. That includes everything, all the way from heart transplants all the way over to herbs, everything in between. What do you think we're going to see, let's say, a year from now, 5 years from now, or where do we go into the future with this?
Yes,
You,
that's a really good question. And, we can do our best to get out our crystal balls, but we've been working with frequency energy medicine, for a long, long time. It just hasn't been super mainstream. My hope is that with all of these changes that we're seeing, that there would be a point where it is a little bit more education with this and a little more doors opening, a little more acceptance of understanding frequency, whether it's through herbal situations, plant situations, literally electricity type situations. I've always felt, not always, but in the last 20 years, I've really almost 20 years been really working with this whole lavender lightning approach. Lavender meaning all of the things aromatherapy and plants and, more on the nature type side. And then the lightning approach is all of the biohacking electronics that are available to us, whether it's red light therapy or lasers and biofeedback and hyperbaric chamber and infrared sauna and PEMF and look, all of these things that are not as uh, available in like a hospital type setting. And insurance hasn't covered these things in the past, at least here in the States. I'm hoping and seeing a day where these things are normal and common and that even MD doctors are on board with it. Maybe they even have training involved with this and their education because they don't even really get even nutrition except for one class,
yeah,
and this is a big deal. And speaking of Kennedy, if he's really going to do what he says he's going to do, then GMOs and red dyes and pesticides and herbicides and all the things in the water, there's going to be some big turns here. And I'm just hoping and praying that whoever the powers may be will support whatever he's doing because I don't even know how that works. If he just walks in and he's able to do stuff, or does this have to be passed by Congress or I don't know all the
yeah,
rules of what the red tape is involved in that, but I do know that he's very fluent in all of these things and even things that are, like maybe kind of taboo, like microdosing and things like that that have been really helpful for people with anxiety and bipolar and things like that. And it's just been kind of poo-pooed away or I understand there needs to be some regulations just because people can do too much or not have a
yeah,
good time with it, but there's so much out there. And I don't know, what are you seeing? And of course, we've talked about med beds for how long? I knew
yeah,
they were suppressing that because of the stuff that happened over the last 4 years. They weren't going to just come out with that, but that's a possibility even, with the next 4 years. Who knows?
yeah. Well, I think also that when we talk about the substance of the medications and things like that, that's one thing, but the cost of it is something different. And it could get so expensive that nobody can afford it. And it is almost there now. If you don't have good insurance, you hesitate to go to emergency or do anything because you know that you're going to end up with a bill that could break you. You could end up on the street if you don't do it right. So
Yeah.
I can compare to something that happens probably about 10 years ago. I had a friend down in Panama, and he ended up with a scar, a cut on his hand. And, I told him, go to the emergency room, and he didn't want to do that. It's just to go because it started to be infected. So he went, he spent 2 hours. They cleaned up the wound and they repaired it all, put it together, and they sewed it up. And when he left, he said, I was really worried about the bill. But when he paid, they gave him a bill for, I think it was about $16, about 10, 12 years ago in Panama, because healthcare is taken care of by the country with just a small nominal fee for the person.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, can you imagine that being implemented here?
That would be that would be pretty amazing. Yeah. I know my dad has had 2 surgeries and about to have another one. And I mean, just one time of him being in there was almost $100,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
I mean, he was there, I think, 4 days. There's an ambulance involved. The second time I choose to remember, I think it was about that much. And my mom's been in twice. If they didn't have insurance, but I'll tell you
yeah,
what's scary is the medical mistakes that are made in the hospitals right now. 10 years ago, it was the third leading cause of death is mistakes in
yeah,
the hospital. I would venture to say it's probably 2 or 1 at this point because
yeah,
so many people in the medical field have left the medical field over the last 4 years because they either retired early, they didn't want to deal with all the stuff that was going on. So we have a lot of brand new people that just got out of school and have no experience. And not to mention the people where I was, I mean, sometimes I couldn't even find anyone for hours on a whole floor. I just could it was vacant. I'm like, they don't have people on staff. I don't know if there's a hiring issue, but it's happened all 4 times that I've been to the hospital this year where there was emergencies. I was looking for people. The people across the hall, they were having monitors go off and things blinking, and we couldn't find anybody. So, my dad almost passed twice through medical mistakes, and the people
yeah,
next to us on the same hospital, he came in for a routine operation, and he passed. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes
yeah,
going on. It's really scary. It's not a place you want to be if you don't have to be.
yeah, I know. And even on the AMA's own website, in I found it years ago. There was 250,000 deaths that they credited to the errors in the healthcare system. Now that is, I have no word to even explain something like that.
Yeah, and the key here is properly administered medication, 250,000, properly medicated, meaning, they come up with some grand scheme of how much you should give a person based
Yeah,
on this whole messed up testing thing that they do where they get very healthy 20-year-olds and they test them all and they give them all the thing and then they do everything based on that. Well, not
yeah,
everyone's 20, not everyone's healthy. Everyone's got different variations of things going on with them and that's just not the oh, that's not the way to do it. And so
yeah,
that's just a mess up right there that can lead to a lot of problems. But maybe that can be revamped,
yeah,
maybe we can start looking at other ways that other countries are doing things and seeing, being open to learn from mistakes and to be open
yeah.
to change.
I think the moral of the story here is that make sure you get first and second and third opinions, as well as do your own research, because there's a lot of natural stuff that works better. I mean, there are medical research that show that some of the natural stuff works better than the pharmaceuticals. So there, you cannot exclude that. And now, I want to, for the next 2 or 3 minutes, I think we should talk a little bit about the MedBed because we already have some of them. There is actually three different types of them as far as I have seen and heard. One of them is basically just a simple thing that is using Rife technology and vibration and frequencies and things like it. It's there to kill bacteria and virus and stuff like that. That kind of the first, which is from what I hear, is supposed to be very effective. And then we had one that deals with surgeries, and there's AI doing surgeries. The doctors don't necessarily have to have their hands on it, but they are guiding AI. And then the third one that we hear about is the one where you can actually reverse the aging, repair the genetics, and repair limbs. In fact, even regrow them. I've seen that done actually when it's done with the right way. You can actually do that repairing memory. And this is coming. It's in our future. What do you, how would it be if we had something like that? What would happen to society?
Well, my guess is when that does come out, and if it already has, that it's probably very expensive at first, unless we can get insurance to cover it. And or what if we just didn't have insurance? Wouldn't that be
Yeah,
something if we could go another way of doing things?
yeah.
If things, one of the things that 47 and others have talked about is there's literally no accountability to show how much things cost or how much is charged to the insurance. And he wanted things to have to be out there in the open for accountability so people could make choices if we wanted to do this or not, because then we would know how much is being billed, how much they're keeping on the back end. Because a lot of even like pharmaceuticals, you could go and if you don't tell them that you have insurance, it might be $12 for a pharmaceutical, you know, tablet or some sort of pharmaceuticals. But if the minute that you tell a pharmacist that you have insurance, they'll charge like $70 plus you got to do a copay of 35 or 40 or 50 depending on what it is, when if you hadn't told them you had insurance you could have paid $10. But by law, if you tell them you have insurance, they have to charge you what the insurance companies will charge, which means
Oh,
who's
yeah.
getting all that money, you know so it really depends on how they end up bringing this to be. Are they going to suppress it? Are they going to let it be? Is it going to cost a lot of money? Are only billionaires going to have access to it? you know um I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. You know, when it really comes down to how do you spell racket? Is that with a C or a K? I wonder. Yeah, that's what it is. But I think though that there is things that we can do now, simple things with oils, herbs, and electromedicine, and that is what you're doing. And it's very effective. In fact, I'm going to tell you a 45-second story. About 4 or 5 months ago now, I ended up with an eye infection. I got something in the eye. There was something, a foreign object in the eye, and it started getting red, and it got really red. And I could hardly see out of it at all. And I went, Nori talked me into going to an eye doctor, and I did, and they gave me something that slowly started to improve very slowly. And it did over several months to the point where I could, see some things again. And then it got worse. And I went and I used frankincense and myrrh. Oh, you can't see that. frankincense and myrrh on it. And in a matter of just a few days, half a week, the eye was white. It had healed itself. Now, this is the kind of stuff that you're doing. And folks out there, listen to what we're going to hear for the next half hour because there's some really good stuff here. What are
Yeah.
you doing?
I have a similar story. I went on a cruise one time with 3 of my friends, and I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise, but and maybe it was just where the cruise I went on, but in my experience with doing a couple of them, the rooms are extremely tiny. I mean, they are just like closets, and so I was there with 3 other women, and we were all, in our little tiny room, and one of them ended up having pink eye, and that's extremely contagious, and so,
Mm,
we were washing our hands and not wanting to touch countertops or doorknobs or, but, somebody had frankincense, and they not only made sure we kept putting it on our hands, but they would put the frankincense on their hand itself, and then would just cup over, not wearing a glasses, but leaving your eye open and just cupping your hand over your eye, and it would burn a little bit. Like, I'm not talking about putting oils in your eye, I'm not talking about mashing your on top, but just really cupping so it's just right over and nothing is touching the eye at all, but leaving it open. And we started doing it too, even though we didn't have it, because we were like, we're going to be preventative, which I think is a good thing to kind of talk about too during this next 30 minutes. But none of us got anything. She ended up healing, or can we say healing? Her eye was better very quickly, like your situation, and all of us stayed clear with our vision, and we didn't have any problems. But prevention, I think, is something that we not always do, and I think that there should be an emphasis on that because
yeah,
it's so much cost effective in time and in money and in life and in relationships and work and not missing work.
yeah,
If we are eating right and taking caring of ourselves on a regular on the front end, then we won't find ourselves in those back end situations where now all of a sudden there's a situation, um, and even mentally, having balance and taking care of your emotions. And if you feel sad, go ahead and cry and get it out and not stuff things down, because when we suppress it or oppress
yeah,
it or depress it, that just comes up later in some other form, whether it's through an organ or through, an explosion of, something
yeah,
triggered. You're like, "Ah," and you just kind of freak out or whatever. But it's not good, and we're taught not to feel. We're taught don't cry, we got to be strong and
yeah,
tough. And sometimes we just get too busy too, and I'm definitely I not the I'm doing it too sometimes. I'll catch myself where we had a lot of death at the beginning of this year, and it just was like one after the other. We had 6 total immediate family members who went very quickly and unexpectedly, and, it wasn't until May or July when I opened up my practice. I was having to stay put more in this city, and my husband was still going out of town a lot, and my daughter would go out of town, and I was working during the day, and then I was at home by myself at night. And it took like maybe a week or two of being by myself, but then all of a sudden I was like really sad, and I found myself just crying and bawling and being, I don't know if it was just because no one's here and I could finally like unplug that plug, but I was kind of beating myself up a little bit at first and just going like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is this? What's happening? Why am I having this response? But what I put together and what I made up about it is like, I think for months I was just dealing with whatever I had to deal with. And then my dad was sick, and then my mom was sick, and then just keeping them alive in hospitals.
oh, yeah,
And then I went straight into this. And then it was like, finally, there was this release. And, you know,
Mhm.
I may still be in process. Who knows? We're all processing things all the time, but
Yeah.
I, prevention. What's your thoughts about prevention and emotions and
Most people don't do any of that. They just go along, live life, and they eat the American diet, which, will do some. Huh, I guess we're still on YouTube, so I shouldn't talk too deeply on that one. But no, we should do a little research and listen to shows like this and others so we can learn. And one of the most important things that I have found is that Dr. Warburg got the Nobel Prize twice in 1931 and 1932 for discovering that no bacteria or virus can live in a heavy oxygenated and alkaline environment. We need to keep our body alkaline at pH 7 or above. What would you suggest for people to do that?
oh gosh, I mean, water is a big deal.
Yeah,
Um, making sure that we're not eating foods that cause acidity. Definitely carbs and sugar and all of that brings immunity down as well. You could buy strips like over the counter in most
yeah,
pharmacies and test yourself pretty often. I am not a big fan of bottled water because of the plastics involved
yeah,
and how that causes such a estrogen dominance, and there's a lot of estrogen
yeah,
dominance anyway, just because of the steroids and the foods and everything. But plastics add to that. But Fuji water actually is a really high alkaline water, and there's probably others that I don't know about, or getting a really
mhm,
good water
yeah,
uh, filtration system that will
yeah,
balance pH. We have one on our website that I really, really love, and we've had it for about 10 years. And it's not one of those like whole house ones. I'd love to have one where it even does the bathtub and the shower and all that. And we
mhm,
haven't got there yet, but we do have it in our kitchen. And, um, I think those kind of things are really
yeah.
important.
And green leafy food, I suppose.
Hmm. And believe it or
Yeah,
not, lemon and citruses, you would think that would be acidic, but it actually balances pH. Isn't that
yeah.
interesting?
Got an alkaline effect on the body, even though it is acidic. Yeah, that's a good one. That is very good. Yeah,
Yep.
and
Say with lemon though, you gotta be careful because 'cause I'm not talking about go to a restaurant and when you get your tea or whatever, like, they'll usually say or water, they'll say, "Do you want lemon with that?" I've worked at restaurants. I don't know about you, but you don't know what's going on in the back rooms of these restaurants. There could be lemons sitting out all day long. Who knows what's growing on them? Who knows if they're
yeah,
being taken care of? So a lot of times people will just take the whole lemon it's sitting, maybe on the edge of a cup here, and they'll just squeeze it and drop it in there. And like, oh my God, you have no idea what's on the outside of that. And you just put it in your water. I really love using like essential oils, if it's the right one, that's edible, grass approved, that you can literally just drop an oil in a glass. It cannot be plastic because it'll break down. A real oil will break down plastic, and then you don't want to be drinking more plastic. So have
yeah.
a ceramic cup or glass, real actual
Mhm.
glass, and then put water and a couple drops of lemon or orange. There's all kinds of things to help with. And then apple cider vinegar. I do that every day. I drink this right here is a concoction of a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a sparkling water that's not
Mhm.
the kind that are the terrible kind. I it's a mineral sparkling water.
Mhm.
And then I put ice in it. I put just a little bit of cranberry juice. I put my minerals in it, and then I do a bit, just a, a little pinch of Himalayan salt, which is
Mhm.
really, really good. And I
Okay.
drink this pretty much all day. Sometimes I'll put in, I call it a nitro or a Ningxia red. and just give it a little more antioxidants. Um, but that's those kind of things. Juicing, of course, is really good.
Yeah.
We have a lot of options out there if we would just go for it and be
Mhm.
consistent with it. And I'm not saying you got to be so perfect either, but at least try to be preventative because you don't know what you're saving, doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And thinking back on frankincense and myrrh here, you are very deeply into the essential oils, and you make your own too. And tell us about what that can do for people.
Yeah, I don't personally have farms, but I have worked with a company that has farms,
Okay.
and I have been very much a part of the harvest, the planting, the distilling, understanding, the windows of that, making sure that you have a lab on site, which most of them do not have a lab on site. So I grew up with my grandfather being a farmer, and there was a time to harvest. And just like there's a time to harvest with wheat or corn or, sugar cane or whatever it is you're growing, there's a very, very tricky time with oils. Oils are very tricky. Some of them have to be in cold weather, some of them have to be in warmer weather. And some of them, when it's time, you have this little short window where you're going to get the best chemistry from it, meaning like phenols, sesquiterpenes, monoterpenes, and unfortunately, most of the companies out there, they use off-site testing. So let's say they're about ready to, harvest, they'll get a few and they'll send it off to a lab to test, hey, is this ready, to be harvested? It could be a week or two before they get results back. And then they could have missed the entire time when we should have harvest. Versus this company that I work with, they spend a lot of money to make sure that every single farm that they have in multiple areas all over the country has a base lab already there. And so they literally walk over to the lab, hand it to the guy to test it. He tests it within minutes. You can find out, yes, you know what? You need 3 more hours and then go. Or you need 24 hours and then go. Very specific when it
Wow.
comes to that kind of stuff, to make sure that window is just pristine to get the
Mhm.
best out of the extraction and the distilling process.
Hmm. But what are you doing with electronic medicine?
Yeah, well, I love frequency, as you know. There's frequency in oils, and that's kind of where I
Mhm.
started. And then I was moving to crystals. And as you know, crystals are in most electronics, most medical equipment. Crystals are in TVs and cars and screens of every kind and all the medical supplies, MRIs, x-rays, blah 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 blah, go down the whole line. You're using crystals where you think you are or not. But because I have that argument, sometimes people are like, "Ah, crystals, no, it's so bad," and it's like you're already using them, weirdo. It's like, but I love red light therapy, I love biofeedback, I love ozone therapy. That's kind of my newer thing that I'm just really enjoying seeing people use and get the results from it. I have PEMF. I have Rife, which is really awesome. Yeah, there's red light therapy. There's all kinds of stuff that we have in our practice, and we get some good result. And hyperbaric, I forgot to mention that. You mentioned oxygen.
Mhm.
Oxygen through ozone therapy or hyperbaric therapy will help with stem cells and just help with the ATP and help the receptors open to receive more oxygen so the body can be completely full of oxygen. And like you said,
Mhm.
disease can't even hang out where it's very occupied space. Have you ever heard of someone who has cancer in the heart? No, I mean,
Ah,
no, no, it's a lot of oxygen in the heart and a lot of electricity in the heart. A matter of fact, when I worked cardiac rehab,
yeah.
surgeons would say, "Oh, there's a spark." They would see this electronics, this blue light that they would refer to. So
Mhm.
interesting, but Yeah,
Well,
I love have you tried any of those before?
yeah, I have actually. What do you think about the what's it called? That long, yeah, iTerra?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have lasers, definitely. Lasers are fun. They help with
Hmm.
stem cells and they structure water and they're great for pain and inflammation and lymphatic systems and
Hmm.
yeah, lasers are really fun and
Yeah.
easily portable.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's new things coming too. There's now the back in the 1940s. That's when Royal Rife created his equipment, and I have read the reports on that. He cured just about everybody, is what the medical research show. And now they're starting to discover that technology again. There, there are now companies that say, oh, we found the frequency that will do away with so and so. Well, yeah, Royal Rife did that 80 years ago.
Yeah, and they killed him because he wanted it to be free, just like Tesla wanted electricity free.
Yeah,
And the AMA got a hold of it, and next thing you know, he's mysteriously in a car accident, and all of his office was raided and missing. All the stuff was missing, the patents were missing, the equipment was missing, and there's been
yeah,
replica. A lot of people thought maybe the secretary was in on that. Uh, there's a lot, who knows? Well, maybe we'll
yeah.
find out.
It was all about money anyway. Mr. Fishbane, that was the head of the AMA at the time, he just couldn't become a partner, so things happened. But anyway, that was back then, but I think it's coming back. I think it
Yeah,
is coming back because there are people now starting to work with that type of technology, and hopefully that things are happening in Washington now, so it will be allowed.
that would be so great. That is a dream, honestly. And
Hmm.
we will have to see and find out. And I just prayed to God that everybody supports Kennedy
Yeah,
and Trump and whoever else needs support to get these things moving in that direction so the
yeah,
people can be free and that the expense wouldn't be so great. And, I think people are, you know, tapped out in this last 4 years of not just the medical, but, the economy and everything else.
yeah,
I think this has brought a lot of hope. I don't know if you're seeing it or feeling it or hearing it, but a lot of people are breathing better and just have a little relief. And then, of course, there's a little bit of concern that, wait a minute, is it too quiet? Is
yeah,
it that easy? I don't know if we have like a little bit of PTSD where we're always expecting like some dramatic, thing to happen to disrupt the path of the timeline. But I'm believing and putting my imagination, imaging this nation already in the timeline that we're in and maintaining that and keeping going forward and seeing some beautiful
mhm,
freedom and liberty for the people to have some choices here.
yeah, yeah. And I am totally optimistic right now. I think the good things are going to happen because it has happened. So many good things have happened in the past. Uh, I do some goofy stuff. I read medical journals once in a while. And I know to the average guy that's probably goofy, but if you go to New England Journal of Medicine or Lancet and you search on things that is totally outside, let's say herbal studies or oxygen studies, you search on those terms, things come up and they show that many of the herbal studies that were done worked very well. Just go to the New England Journal of Medicine or Lancet and do a little poking around. I tell you, you'll find some amazing things. I'm talking to the
Absolutely.
people out in the listening there now. I know you're doing it already, so it's there is stuff in there that we need to know.
Yeah, and some of it is just like old school stuff that our grandparents did, and our great grandparents. And, tapping into that of going back to the basics.
Yeah.
Just there's a lot of things like putting onions in your socks and sleeping with onions in your socks whenever you're really congested. That it literally pulls it all out. I mean, there's things that
Yeah,
don't make sense and that are really bizarre sounding, but they work.
that's right. Yeah. Because I think there's something about that underneath of the foot because we have a little tub here that you got electrodes going into it so you can put your feet in it with water and you turn that on in a matter of 5 minutes that water is black.
Wow.
All the
Yeah.
poisons come out of you from the feet.
Yep. You're talking about the foot detox.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, our ionic foot detox, yeah. We actually have one of those too, and different colors mean different things. So if it's kind of brown, you're looking at like liver stuff, and if it's like kind of a green brown, then it's more like gallbladder stuff. And if it's orangey, then you're looking at like heavy metals and different things. And if it's black and bubbly and it's got a different like weird bubble thing going on, that's usually fungus and
Yeah.
mold and things that are coming out. Sometimes you can actually see parasites come right out, swimming around, and I'm like, wow, look at that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and you could do it different times and you're gonna have different things come out. And the more you do it, the less brown the water is because you're seeing that this is it's happening. It's helping.
Yeah, and just like you talk about in your book about the science of miracles, when you do a simple thing like that, you can have phenomenally miraculous results.
Yes. Yep.
Talk
Being on
talk
top
about
of things.
talk about your books a little bit.
Yeah, so I have the Science of Miracles, Remembering the Frequency of Love. I don't have all of them in front of me. I have the Keto Reset, which I'm a big fan of keto and or carnivore. I'm actually in ketosis right now and have been since October 27th and doing fine and having a good time with that. I have the Seer's Handbook. I have Keys to Third Heaven. I have a Montana girl in a Louisiana state that talks about like signs and wonders and synchronicities and living in a world of synchronicities.
Yeah,
So yeah, and then of course I have my card deck, which I love hanging. I love looking at all my. These are all my
yeah,
babies.
show that a little closer.
Yeah. So this is it. Is this backwards to
What
you? It looks anyway. Crystals,
crystals?
oils, and decrees. And
Right.
on the front part, I have all these pictures of my different crystals. And then on the back, it'll tell you what the crystals do for you harmonically for your physical, emotional, and mental. It also has a decree that's equal in frequency, so they work together. And then I also have a suggested companion oils, usually three or four work. I picked 3 or 4 in this case, because there's some crystals that really work well with oils. And, we
Mhm.
can have oils and they can go past the blood barrier, but they don't record. And so they'll dissipate after like 4 hours. But if you carry a crystal with it, the crystal records the frequency of the oil, and you just carry that in your pocket and it's going to stay in your biofield as long as you have that crystal in your pocket.
Mhm. I gotta say this, there are scientists now coming out saying that there is all kinds of indications that crystals are alive and have consciousness.
I believe it. I'm surrounded
Yeah.
by them right now. I actually have a turquoise, an obsidian. I have this little beautiful amethyst. I have lapis, azul. I have an angel, a
Oh,
quartz. I have smoky quartz right here. I'm pretty. pretty in love with crystals. I have some agates. What you got? Is it black?
Yeah, it's
Is it a
yeah, it's
meteorite?
yeah. But
Wow, that's a heavy one.
yeah, I I think though that some of the things that we are talking about right now is going to be available very shortly to people. And for the herbal part of it and the essential oil, they're available now. They can get some of that from you.
Absolutely. If you just go to my website, there's a button there to order. I usually have people start with the premium kit.
Hmm.
There it's kind of a group that comes in a set that are kind of your basic emergency type prep, have them in your home at all times, like kind of group. And anyone who orders that, by the way, I always give them a free biofeedback scan as well as a consultation. And then I also have a group on Facebook that has, oh gosh, like 140 training videos to everyone who's in that membership, everyone who orders that specific group of oils, because I don't want someone just having, a few oils in front of them and not really understanding. That's what happened to me is I just got some and I was like, I don't know what to do with these. I was sniffing them and diffusing them and putting them on.
Hmm.
But I didn't know that this works well with that and that works. It took a little while for me to figure out. So I have
Yeah.
set up so many videos of training and explaining, and that's free with the membership.
I got a tricky question for you.
Okay.
If you could only have one essential oil for the betterment of your body, which one would it be?
That's impossible. I mean,
Never heard of that one.
that it's like what, and I'll ask people like, "What's your favorite oil today?" Because it changes, and they do so many. It's like saying, "Who's your
Yeah.
favorite person?" Because they all do such different things.
Yeah.
Lavender and
Okay.
peppermint are amazing. Thieves is amazing. Frankincense is amazing. My favorite blend is called Believe, and it's got like a kind of an evergreen kind of tree smell to it. I just love trees. I love all the tree oils like cypress and pine. I love valerian, and a lot of people hate valerian and they say, "Oh, it smells like, you know, cat urine or something." And I'm like, "What?" I mean, I do you have you smelled valerian before? I think it smells delightful. It's my favorite.
Wow.
You
Okay.
haven't smelled it, have you? You have to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got a few of them here, but I can't help it. Frankincense and myrrh, that's my
That's your
favorite. Not,
favorite?
yeah. I brought it out, stuck it on the desk here because I wanted to show you.
Yeah, I love frankincense. It's got a lot of sesquiterpenes in it, which is good for brain activity.
Hmm. Yeah. And gosh, we're getting down to the end here, but
I know, I just saw that. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this went by so fast."
yeah, yeah, there's another show after us, so we have to get off by top of the hour. But let me ask you a question. This is one that I often ask, and I get very different answers, and that is that if you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
Oh, goodness sakes. Where do you come up with these questions? I would say live true. Live with truth and authenticity with everything that you do, whether you speak, eat,
Yeah,
or whatever you do, live authenticity and live true.
yeah, yeah.
What about
Because,
you?
well, you're onto something. Because with truth, everything comes out. All the all the good things come out. Because otherwise, if it was lies that was mixed in, that wouldn't be truth. So it would clean everything up. That's a good answer. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I You ask me what I have several probably, but I think look behind the curtain because that's where the good stuff is. Do not accept the first answer you hear is usually not the one. You gotta look behind the answer to find the real truth. Because in a society where black is white and white is black, expect everything to be turned around.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we're all responsible for doing our own research and really
Yeah,
digging into things. And not everybody wants to do that. A lot of people just want to do what everyone says. And I've never been that person. I've always been like, why? Why? When the teacher said do something, why? Why? When my parents said do something, why? Why? I gotta know. It's like, tell me the
yeah,
reason.
yeah. But sometimes also, there's a lot of people that don't like to go outside and do research, but listening to you right now, that is a form of research. And
True.
then they go listen to someone else and they get a different, maybe a little different angle towards the same truth. It's a
Hmm.
form of research. So I don't blame them for doing that.
Yep, you can get information a lot of different ways, and
Yeah,
social media is great with that. All these podcasts out there, um,
yeah,
not so much the mainstream news, but
yeah,
there's a new form of news out there, and there's a lot of different information. So sifting through all that is quite an ordeal, but it can be done.
yeah. So let people know where they can reach you and where they can find your books and your oils and things.
Yes, yes, thank you. DrSharnael.com. It's Dr. Sharnael.com. And I have two of my books here, like I was saying. If
Mhm.
anyone wants to join me in keto, I have a public group where everyone can go in there, and it's free, and there's all kinds of recipes and fun stuff. And I have my card deck out there. I have all my services there. My podcast is every Thursday at noon Central. It's Dr. Sharpel True TV. So, but thank you so much.
Are you on YouTube also?
I am. We're on YouTube and Spotify and Heart. Whatever. Mac knows all the names of it. He's on here too. Hey, Mac.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're on BitChute and Rumble, and I don't know.
Okay.
We're on 44 platforms. You're on 44. I don't even know how many platforms we're on, but we're on a bunch
Yeah.
of them.
Otherwise, you're everywhere. That's good. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming and visiting with us. This was good. And
Yes.
talks like this need to happen more often. I would love to have you back again.
Awesome. Anytime, I'm here for you. And love you guys so much. And give Nori my love. And hopefully next time she'll be here with us and I can talk to her
Yeah,
too. But thank you so much for
we'll,
your time.
we'll do that. Thank you very much. And for all those of you out there watching, we're going to be back next week with Nori. And we got a good show for you coming then too. So until then, be good to each other.